On the western coast of southern Africa, there is an ever-changing and dynamic marine ecosystem. A cold ocean lashed and ruled by strong winds. This is the Benguela Current. Constantly shifting water creates one of the richest marine systems in the planet, supporting a unique and abundant marine life. The Benguela Current runs along the coast of 3 countries, namely South Africa, Namibia and Angola. Its influence on the marine environment is felt as far east as Port Elizabeth in South Africa to as far north as the Congo River in Angola. The Benguela Current is one of 4 major coastal upwelling ecosystems of the world and supports a treasure trove of globally important biodiversity. The coast has sheltered areas where whales and other marine mammals can breed in safety. The shallow waters host a large variety of predators. One of them is the commercially valuable rock lobster. Its armor a hard carapace. The charismatic octopus relies on camouflage and stealth, like its relative, the cuttlefish. The constantly moving kelp forests also feeds the largest concentration of limpets ever found in this planet. This shore with plentiful resources has also given rise to some unusual adaptations. Here, the chakma baboons have mastered the harvesting of shellfish, exploiting rich pickings of limpets and mussels at low tide. In the open ocean, the upwelling of deeper, colder and nutrient-rich waters trigger a massive and complex food web. Here, a delicate equilibrium is maintained, in which the breeding time and success of many marine animals are closely linked and dependent on the peak of food production in the ocean. A number of offshore islands provide essential breeding grounds for marine birds. Having no land predators and protected from human disturbance, these islands are true sanctuaries where many rare species can complete their breeding cycle in peace and tranquility. Along the coasts of Namibia and South Africa, Cape fur seals congregate in large numbers during spring and summer. Every year they come to the shore to breed. Just like the marine birds, the timing of their breeding is closely tied to the abundance of food in the ocean. The rich productivity of the Benguela also extends into the coastal wetlands. The coastal areas are predominantly arid, so that the few perennial coastal wetlands are vital oases of biodiversity. Several of them, such as the mouth of the Orange River, have been internationally recognized as important wetlands and declared Ramsar sites. These wetlands provide breeding and wintering grounds for waterbirds. Just after sunset, the sonar of a modern purse seine boat starts to locate the large school of pilchards and anchovy. Fishing takes place mostly at night, when pilchards and anchovy congregate in large numbers to feed near the surface. Pilchard and anchovy fishing is one of the main commercial activities in the Benguela Current, making them some of the most important groups of fish harvested by humans. Pelagic fish stocks are highly susceptible to environmental variability and overexploitation, making this fishery very dynamic and unpredictable. Additionally, many pelagic fish are migratory, so that they complete their breeding cycles in different parts of the Benguela Current, and thus they become a shared resource between the 3 countries. And shared resources require careful management. In South Africa, overfishing led to the collapse of the pilchard fishery in the mid-1960s. Catches in Namibia increased until the 1970s, when that fishery also collapsed with massive losses of jobs and revenues for both countries. Today, as a result of better management, these resources are recovering again, providing a source of cheap protein for African consumers and employment for many in South Africa and Namibia. Once again, the need for coordinated research and close collaboration across the political borders was highlighted to benefit the entire region. Another key activity in the Benguela is the hake fishery. Cape hake is caught largely by bottom trawling and to a lesser extent by long line vessels. Between 300,000 and 400,000 tons of hake are landed in South Africa and Namibia every year. The hake stocks are also shared between Namibia and South Africa and to a lesser extent Angola. The history of hake fishery is marked by heavy overexploitation, to the point of nearly wiping out this resource in the Benguela. In 1973, large foreign fleets overfished the standing stock, and the hake catch rate dropped to levels that were no longer viable economically. After the dramatic collapse, strong action was taken, such as increasing the mesh size of the nets to protect juvenile fish. But the most significant step was the announcement of a 200 nautical miles fishing zone off the coast of South Africa in 1977 and in Namibia in 1990. That now made it possible to exclude unscrupulous foreign fishing fleets. Soon the hake stock started to recover. This demonstrated that hake is a robust resource that, if managed correctly, could provide healthy revenues and much needed employment on a sustainable basis. Early morning in the open ocean of the Benguela. Here a long fishing tradition introduced from the islands of Madeira is revived every day during the tuna season. Small vessels with a highly experienced crew search for the tuna school. Once there are signs of nearby fish, pieces of pilchard are dropped into the water to lure and keep the school closer to the vessel. Artificial spray of seawater increases the excitement of the feeding fish and also conceals the fishermen high above them. The crew works in pairs, using a long pole with a hooked lure. One fisher hooks the hungry fish and brings it closer to the boat, where it is swiftly gaffed and lifted into the boat by the second fisher. This fishing method is highly efficient and has far less impact on tuna stocks than purse seine nets. Pole fishing is also more cost-effective, yet it provides employment for a larger number of people, and there is no bycatch wasted in the operation. The productive coastal waters also provide good catches for artisanal fishers along the entire coast, flanked by the Benguela, as this example from South Africa shows. Far away, thousands of kilometers to the north in Angola, members of a coastal fishing community are using a dilapidated net in the hope of feeding their families. Angola is recovering from a long civil war, and more people are returning to the coast, where marine resources are a stable source of protein. The government strongly supports fishing cooperatives that operate at community levels, and new regulations to manage artisanal fishing for the benefit of both the community and the resources are starting to be implemented. It is encouraging to see that a coastal community is willing to celebrate the release of a marine turtle that was accidentally caught in the net during the night. Many of the negative impacts on marine resources by coastal communities are due to poverty, as well as lack of information and appropriate training. The legacy of the colonial past left deep wounds along the Benguela region. Overexploitation of the marine resources was the name of the game. Boundaries between colonies were hastily established, with little regard for the indigenous inhabitants and the natural habitats. The result of a lack of integrated management was severe depletion and the collapse of several marine resources. Soon it was recognized that one response to the fragmented management of the Benguela Current should be to put in place a strong and collaborative marine research component involving all three countries. Marine scientists from South Africa, Namibia and Angola have been working together since 1995 through the BCLME Programme. Research is mainly focused on the major shared fishing resources and the profound effect of environmental variability on the productivity and distribution of stocks. But understanding this complex and dynamic system is a huge undertaking. Researchers work day and night analyzing the water column by using long oceanographic transects. This enables them to monitor physical as well as biological parameters that provide valuable information to predict sustainable harvesting levels for fisheries. The knowledge generated through oceanographic research is fundamental to designing sound management practices for fisheries across the political boundaries. Fortunately, this need is well recognized and supported throughout the region.
A investigação pesqueira em Angola é muito importante. Nós temos uma grande diversidade de recursos pesqueiros, começando pelos peixes pequenos plágicos, continuando com crustáceos, como por exemplo o camarão, a lagosta. São espécies que atraem muitos interesses de pescadores, tanto nacionais como estrangeiros, e é necessário ter um bom conhecimento do estado desses recursos para também podermos melhor aconselhar a gestão e utilização dos mesmos.
The unpredictability of the Benguela sometimes is coupled with catastrophe. Natural massive blooms of deadly red tides and large-scale movement of anoxic waters can destroy valuable resources, such as rock lobsters. Oxygen-depleted water also reduces the growth rate of rock lobsters in certain regions due to overcrowding. The presence of poorly oxygenated waters of the northern regions has led to a marked decline in the production and yield of rock lobsters off the coast of Namaqualand and Namibia since the mid-1960s. Again, phenomena such as this highlight the need for collaborative efforts across boundaries, since anoxic waters can move across coastal borders with deadly consequences. The Benguela is also rich in non-renewal resources such as oil and diamonds. The oil and gas industry is developing fast in this region. In Angola, the wells, which are located both on and offshore, make an important contribution to the gross domestic product. And in 1998, this amounted to 60% of the GDP. The sale of crude oil also represents by far the major generator of foreign earning. Offshore oil mining in Angola began in 1966, following discovery of an oil field in Cabinda. Since then, a succession of new fields had been discovered, including one of Africa's largest. Massive gas fields were also discovered in Namibia, and the exploitation undoubtedly will be stepped up in the near future. Large deposits of diamonds are also found in the Benguela, carried from the interior for millions of years by rivers such as the Orange and the Quinene, who deposited them in ancient marine terraces, some of which are now located on land. As these terrestrial deposits started to run out, prospecting turned seaward and has moved progressively further and further offshore over the past 40 years. Mining disturbs unconsolidated seabed sediments. So far, it seems that the impact is localized and mined areas can recover within 4 to 8 years. Unfortunately, this is not the case on land. Coastal dunes are fragile ecosystems. Here, the delicate eggs of the agama lizard are deposited in the dunes. But not far away, large earth-moving machines are digging through the coastal dunes to get to the bedrock where diamonds were deposited. Surface mining leads to large-scale destruction of habitat and the flora and fauna in it. Hundreds of kilometers of coastal area have been completely destroyed and transformed forever. The best diamond deposits have already been taken out by people who came from afar and settled along the coast during the diamond fever. Soon it was all over, and the newfound prosperity started to collapse. Many of the abandoned coastal towns are little more than monuments to human greed. Today, nature is slowly reclaiming those towns. A lonely jackal wanders freely on the wild coast of the Benguela, as its ancestors did thousands of years ago. Fortunately, the ocean itself is still relatively pristine in this part of the world. But now, many development initiatives are looming. The inevitable increase in marine traffic has magnified the risk of pollution by giant vessels that transport substantial amounts of crude oil or hazardous cargo from one country to another. The pollution of waters in any region of the Benguela can have serious transboundary consequences and needs to be addressed in that context. Commercial development in the Benguela is happening at a much faster rate than the gathering of vital scientific information about its ecological functioning. New frontiers are only just starting to open up, bringing scientists to a new world that promises exciting new discoveries. With increased exploration of the deep sea, the mighty Benguela Current will open new chapters to humankind. In them, there will be discoveries that we cannot even imagine at this point, hopefully bringing deeper insight into the complex Benguela. The shared knowledge will lay the foundation for the understanding and management of this unique and magnificent large marine ecosystem. Finally, in March 2002, with the support of the Global Environmental Facility, the Benguela Current Large Marine Ecosystem Programme was established as a multinational initiative by Angola, Namibia and South Africa. It is designed to improve the capacities of the three countries to manage their shared fish stocks and deal with environmental issues. And so Angola, Namibia and South Africa are moving forward, correcting the wrongs of the past by unlocking the potential of the precious Benguela, so it can be utilized and enjoyed by the present as well as future generations.